It's been called one of the most innovative American cars ever. Its unique Enduraflex body panels resist minor dents and will never rust. Introducing Pontiac Fiero, America's first mid-engine production car. Fiero, a brilliant example of Pontiac innovation in action. Fiero, only from Pontiac.
We build excitement, Pontiac.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Pontiac Power Hour. I'm Buff.
I'm Ray. Still loving that cheesy 1980s intro.
Absolutely. Well, if you didn't notice, we're going to be talking about the Pontiac Fiero and that short-lived lifespan that it had, but the much-needed mid-engine car that everyone wanted, but just didn't quite deliver.
Yeah. I actually really like them. I would like to find one, but they've gotten kind of stupid in price lately.
Yeah, there was a point when you could get them for just a few $100, and now I think a used one's at least a couple thousand.
Oh, yeah. A GT, 87, 88 GT, they're stupid price. I've seen them up to 20, 25,000. That's like double what they was new.
Yeah, that's whenever the suspension was right. But we're going to be talking all about the Pontiac Fiero this week. We are 1 week away from No Name Nationals, and I should be wrenching right now, but it comes to the point that it's either going to be ready or it's not. But either way, I'm going to be there.
It'll be ready.
I want to point out that if you come to No Name Nationals, come find me, and I'll give you a free sticker. I'm not selling them because they happen to use a branded logo here, but I just might have modified the name a little bit. So come see me at No Name Nationals, and I'll get you a free sticker. I'm going to look in the... Yeah, I was bored and got creative one day. I'm going to hit the chat real quick.
All right.
I know I saw Irish in here. I got Hunter from Sand Mountain Ballistics. Yep, there's Jay from Irish Outlaw. John Wilburn in the chat. Dean Stevenson. Buck Does It. Arrowhead Garage, welcome. B&R Racing. Jason's Garage. And let's see, Alan's Cars and Stuff. So welcome everybody to the show. As always, we're going to talk about some history of some cars, some just chatting about Pontiacs in general. We do read the chat, so feel free to chat it up. And then, of course, we're going to end the show with Pontiac trivia.
That's always fun.
I like it.
Yeah, it includes everybody. I like seeing
Absolutely. All right. You're going to get us started off with some Pontiac Fiero stuff. But not this one, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it looks like Pontiac took cues from the Pinto on that one.
Yeah. Well, they did have that little problem. But they
did
fixed
have
it
some
later.
electrical problems. But how many 80s cars did not have electrical issues?
Right. I think part of the biggest issue was trying to shove that Iron Duke in the back of that car. They had to modify it enough that it just didn't work out.
Yeah, they had to modify the oil pan on the Iron Duke, and it didn't hold enough oil. So then it slung a rod out, splashed hot oil on exhaust, and, well, Poof. You got a crispy Fiero.
Yeah, it's just like that one.
Yeah. And the Iron Duke was, a lot of guys praise them. I had an S10 with one and I hated it.
Yep, same here.
I don't
In
know
fact,
what
I
all the buzz
had
about.
a Pontiac Fiero with an Iron Duke in it, and it was a dog. Let's see. Are you ready for your picture?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. Boom.
Boom. First year of the Fiero. It was actually produced late 1983, but the production year was 84. The only option in 84 was the 2.5 liter Iron Duke, which we was talking about that they modified to fit in there because Pontiac released it as an economy car.
What
Because
a shame. That should have been a sports car.
yeah, but there was some new heads at GM that wanted to, because they was just coming off of the oil crisis, and they wanted to release some economy cars. And I think they had a 4-cylinder and everything, including the F body, as we know. They
Well,
had that
not
Iron Duke in it.
everything. The
Well,
competing Corvette that they didn't want this car to bump off the line. They didn't have a 4-cylinder in that.
I'm surprised. But so in 84, actually 84 was the highest production of all of them, of all the years. It actually almost doubled 1985. And 1985, they introduced the Fiero GT, added a V6, and gave it more of a performance oriented look and feel. Um, but they only sold 76,000 that year when they sold 136,000 in 84.
Yeah,
So
I would have thought that they would have sold more because it truly changed so much about car making. I mean, first of all, you got this. I mean, it's beyond unibody. The entire car is the frame, and then you literally just pop these plastic panels on, so you don't have rust, you don't have dents. Granted, they had some paint fade issues, but you could pop the panel off and put another one on. It was like Legos.
they literally took the front suspension parts out of like I think it's a Pontiac 6000. And they even
Yeah,
used the tie rods and everything. They used the steering knuckle. You could almost make that car rear steer if you wanted to.
right, because they left it all in there just with a solid mount.
Yeah. And that's where some of the rear suspension failures came from, because that was kind of a weak setup.
And it was still the front suspension just put in the back.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't made to deal with the geometry of being in the back.
Right. And I think in 84 it only came with the 4-speed or the automatic. And I can't even begin to imagine what a 4-cylinder automatic Fiero was like.
I can tell you it was a turd.
But
it,
then in
it was a
86,
turd.
I don't know if I gave you the picture of the 86 or not.
Oh, let me look. Hold on. Oh, just the 87.
Well, the 86 looks a lot like the 87.
Well, that one's pretty.
They really changed the body style on it. They gave it those Pontiac honeycomb wheels that they put different varieties of them on everything. And man, they look really good. It looks a lot like the Lotus to me.
It really does. And it maybe isn't, a consequence or a coincidence that they were somewhere around buying Lotus or had Lotus at the time.
I think they actually owned Lotus at the time.
I think so too.
But in 87, they only sold 15,000 of those Fiero GT.
Wow.
It seems like there's that many on Marketplace right now.
They they finally get their act together and start making it a true sports car, and then people don't want it.
Right. And in new for 87, I think 87 was when they put the was it the 3.4 liter V6 in it? Is it 86 GT or the 85 GT had a 2.8 liter V6?
Right. It's basically like an Iron Duke, but it was 2.8.
Yeah, and I don't know how similar they are to the ones in the S10s, but I had a 2.8 and an S10, and it was okay compared to the 4-cylinder, it was a race truck, but you know. But
Yeah.
so in 87, they also, 86, they added the 5-speed. I think 85 also had the 4-speed. Mid-year, they went to 5-speed. And then in 86, they had the 5-speed and the 4-speed automatic option with the V6. And they just got, like you said, they got progressively better every year until 88. The last year, they got it right. And then but the sales was down. They just was not selling. So
Right.
88 was unfortunately the last year.
Yeah. That's when they decided to chuck that borrowed suspension, actually built its own suspension from the ground up. They engineered a whole new way for this car to run and drive and ride. You got a good body, good engine combo. This thing was ready to rip. And then they just go, nope, we're done. Pulled the plug.
Yeah, and they even had the Holly equipped version. Have you ever seen one of those? They
I
actually
have
had
seen one.
they actually had a ram air setup snorkel on it. They're kind of weird, but they're really cool.
Yep.
Like I said, if I could find one in good shape, I would buy one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I had one and drove it back when I was young, and economy wise, it wasn't spectacular. Not really much more than the S10 was, but it was like riding a go kart. Like it was on the ground. I had an earlier one. I think it was an '84 or an '85. So it had all the suspension issues and it rode really rough. But I still loved it. I'd still have it today if I could.
Yeah, in 88, they actually only sold 26,000 though. Not quite
Wow.
26,500. And they
That
had the
is
Fiero, the Formula Fiero GT. And then they
that
toyed
GT was the
around.
way to go, I'm telling you.
They toyed around with the 2+2 version. I think I sent you that in the slide too.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's that Holly equipped you're talking
Yeah,
about.
there's the Holly equipped car.
Yep.
Those are cool.
And how you knew is they had that Holly logo right there behind the door. I remember seeing one and I was like, did this guy modify it? Nope. That's the way it was made. But let's go to that 2+2 concept because that thing is just mind blown.
I actually seen this at when I lived out in Arizona. They had a car show every weekend at Scottsdale. There was one there, and I had no idea that was actually a factory like car.
Yeah.
It's
Authorized anyway.
It's very odd looking to me, and I'm glad they didn't make it.
Well, they were trying to fill the gap to make it more marketable. But if you look at even Ferrari, Porsche, they went to 2-seater cars and made them 4-seater later. And they're okay, but that's not why people buy these cars. The interesting part is that stretch frame would go really well with all the kit cars out there these days because you could take a Fiero, stretch the frame, and put just about any body on them.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of Lamborghini and Ferrari kit cars out there, and I have actually seen a Ferrari 308 kit on a Fiero that I had to look really close to see if it was actually a Fiero or a Ferrari.
Yep. I was going to hit the chat real quick. We've got First Responder Garage. Welcome. We have NSB Customs. Hello. Landom Custom Classics. Cousin Mike's in the chat. And I think, Wendy English is here. I think that's where we're caught up now. Lots of Fieros talk. So one of the interesting things, of course, production aside, what really got these things popular was the kit car world. And guys actually taking these cars and turning them into the sports car of their dreams, whether it be Lamborghini or Ferrari. There's one-off body kits that don't look like anything. They're just their own thing. And of course, back in the day, that Cadillac North Star engine would just drop right into the car. But we know those are kind of turds. But now you can drop an LS in one like it's nothing.
Yeah, the LS4 out of the Monte Carlos and the
There's a Grand Prix.
Grand Prix is a very
Yep.
popular deal.
Yep. It just dropped right in there.
Well, they'll run 11s. I mean, real easy with just a stock LS4. I think they had like 325 horsepower.
Right. And the original car had what, maybe 100?
Yeah. Yeah, that little V6 even wasn't that impressive. I don't know that they ever broke 200 horsepower in those cars.
I'm not sure. I definitely feel like it was meant to do that, but then they never actually pulled it off. I mean, the cornering, the handling, they really did set this car up to compete with Corvettes and Porsche and Ferrari. But then at the last minute, they did that whole yank back and let's make it an economy car.
Right. And I think that's what really hurt it in the first place.
Yep. Because they had, I don't know, I think concepts for this car back in the 70s and 80s. And by 80s, there was Fiero concepts running around Detroit. And then, you know, of course, they didn't come out with it till 84. So they finally, you know, go ahead and activate and make this car happen. And they go, oh, wait, we're going to tune it to be a economy car as a commuter. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't have discontinued it. I would have liked to have seen what they done with it.
For sure.
I've seen a lot of guys will bolt the 3800 supercharged out of the Bonnevilles and Grand Prix and stuff in them.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty wicked little option too.
So there's just, to me, there's so many nuances about this car as to what it should have been, what it actually became, and then later on in life, how it kind of morphed into this subculture, like with the kit car world and then with the engine swap world. Not saying that engine swaps aren't popular with all cars, but the Fiero needed the engine swap so bad that it almost became, you know, right there. First thing you do when you get one is you swap it out with something bigger. I'm trying to think, that 4-cylinder, that Iron Duke, gosh, I don't think I ever got past high 20s with it in the car, that 2.5 liter. Looks like Pontiac had it rated for 31 miles per gallon, but I don't think I ever got that out of it. I get what they were trying to go for, but it just never happened.
I had one in my S10 and it didn't do that well either.
Yeah. I mean, it for the time it was better than a 305, I suppose, or a 350, but by today's standards, you know, an LS easily gets 22, and if you put an LS in a light car like that, yeah, it's going to do really well.
Right. So your big Pontiac will get better gas mileage than it did with that. Your car had originally a 389, didn't it?
Yep.
So it probably has more horsepower and it'll get better fuel mileage, but
for sure. It's got a TH350, so no overdrive, but still, it's gonna do better than that 389. What was it, 2-speed that was in it? Maybe, I think it had 2-speed. And you know, it's rolling on modern wheels and tires, modern suspension, modern brakes. I mean, I hope it rolls more than, you know, just out of the garage. Just an update for everybody. The engine's in. The engine turns over. I did have to at least test that my wiring was correct. I have not fired the car. I promised you guys I would do it on the live. So that is coming up. It is not coming up today. I'm waiting on one little piece. It was like a $3 or $4 AN fitting. I want to say it was a $3 or $4 piece. I ended up paying $15 for it because it's an AN fitting. Once that fitting gets here, it's supposed to adapt from my push-on adapter into the actual AN line, and then that goes to hard line. So Once I have fuel, you guys will see that car fire live at the same time I do.
You know, I have 2 of those in my toolbox, right?
I do now. Bring one with you just in case.
I have the one off that I originally had on mine.
Is it the 6AN fitting?
Yep.
So mine has the push in with 6AN, but the rest of my fuel line is either 3/8 hard line or it's 10AN coming out of the fuel cell. So all of my fittings and everything are 10AN to 3/8 hard line. So coming off of the LS, I have the push in fitting, but then I don't have the hard line piece to adapt it. So I thought, well, I'll just go with a short piece. Well, I have 10AN. That's all I have. So it's coming. Yes, ASO. I know I don't have many days left. Trust me, I'm stressing it quite a bit. But the car will be there and I will be there. And when you're there, come get a free sticker from me. I can't really charge for them because this isn't my logo, but I modified it. So come to No Name Nationals, get a free sticker. All right.
B&R saying that the Iron Duke SD model made 600. And I was reading about that actually earlier. They was modifying it and that Oldsmobile Quad 4 and trying to see how much power they could get out of them. And I was actually really impressed that they did get that out of that Iron Duke.
Now I can see that the block would handle it, but normally aspirated, that's crazy. Like I would have thought that's turboed or something.
I had seen 330. I didn't realize they got that much out of them, but 330 horse out of a 4-cylinder NA is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Can you imagine that being in that car?
That would have been a whole lot more fun.
Yeah, and still got decent mileage.
Now, I did read that they was toying around with putting the turbo V6 out of the Grand National in that.
Now
also,
that would have been a competitor.
That would have been fun.
They would have had to find a transmission to hold up to it, but that would have been a pretty quick car. Well, it's like when they did that with the S10 Cyclone and Typhoon.
Yeah.
Those things were ridiculous, those little bitty trucks. So, of course, they could have squeezed it in there.
That's one of my bucket list vehicles.
Those have also gotten expensive. Well, I was just looking at that 1984. They did a limited edition Indy car for the Fiero.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That might be why they helped sell more cars, maybe.
Yeah, the Firebird or the Fiero Indy. I'm looking on my cheat sheet now.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
The Fiero Indy they sold 2,000 of them. So if you have a 1984 Fiero Indy, it may be worth something. Maybe not too. I don't know.
So was that well, if it's 84, it had a 4-cylinder in it then.
Yeah, it had the 4-cylinder in it. So the SE was so you had the Fiero Sport and the SE. The SE was their highest selling at 65,000. Whole total of 136,000 sold.
Wow.
Which is almost as much as all the rest of the years. Well, I guess 86. Let's see, 86 they sold 83,000. 85 was 76,000. 87 45,000. Like I said, 88 the final year was only 26,000.
That's crazy. I totally would have thought there would have been more of those. But they're sharp.
The very last Fiero ever sold with only 500 miles went across the auction block in 2020 for $90,000.
Wow.
So that would be like the most expensive Fiero ever.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I was looking in 89 and 90. They was toying around with bringing the Fiero back, but they just couldn't talk to the GM heads.
I found a picture of it. Let me see if I can bring it up on the screen here.
Yeah, they're really sweet, actually. And they toyed around. It had quite a few different engine options also. Um, let's see. They tried the quad 4 in it.
There we go. There's my screen.
Yeah, and
8990 prototype.
you could see a lot of 4th gen F body.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is it's looking like a 4th gen F body, but it's going to have the that engine in the back. That's a sweet car
I would definitely buy one,
for sure.
especially if they put the turbocharged 3800 out of the Grand National in it.
Yeah, that thing's going to rip.
Well, and Pontiac did have turbo engines like I think the 1990 Grand Prix. They had that SE Turbo V6 edition. It was a 3100 V6 with a turbo on it.
It seemed like they had so much potential to actually do this right. And by the time they get it right, then GM pulls the plug on them. They're like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, that's because they was afraid it was going to outrun their precious Corvette.
And it probably would have. But you know what? It's time for Pontiac to have stepped up and taken on the big bad Corvette. And what did Corvette do? Eventually, they finally made their car mid-engine.
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about that because I see them all the time. Like, oh, look, a Ferrari. Never mind. It's a Corvette.
Yeah.
Especially
but it's what Corvette should have been from the beginning.
Yeah, I like it, I guess, but to me, the C7 Corvette was the ultimate Corvette.
That's pretty awesome.
The C7 ZR1, the ultimate Corvette, and then they just, what do you do from there? It'll be electric now.
All right, DS, I don't know who you are. I love your Archer picture. Never would have beaten the majesty of the C4 Corvette.
That is actually my son.
Oh, well, hello.
That is Dylan. He actually has a Corvette. He's a big C4 Corvette fan.
That makes sense then. Plus Archer.
He has a really nice polo green C4 Corvette. I had a video of it on my YouTube, and I drove it. It's a nice car, and I've never been a C4 fan, but I mean, I like the later ones. But
yeah, I mean, I obviously don't own one. Have never owned a Vet. I've been pretty much into the Pontiac world, and when you go back and look at the Pontiac Banshee, how that was supposed to be basically the Corvette. And then later, of course, they never got to build it. And then the Fiero comes, and it's like, well, there's some redemption, a mid-engine car. We've not done this. And you can count the Corvair, but you shouldn't. And then, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Corvair, but it's its own thing, right? It's got its own following.
Well, there's actually a lot wrong with the Corvair, but
I'm saying for what it is. And then the Pontiac guys came out and said, okay, we're finally going to build this mid-engine car, the sports car we've always wanted to build. We've got all this figured out. And then GM says, well, you got to reuse these parts from this car. And then we're going to tune it down to be an economy car. And they're like, well, we'll just get our foot in the door and then we can build the car we want, which they did by 88. And then GM's like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, we're going to kill it now.
And it was over. It's such a sad deal. And I owned one, and I'll tell you, I owned the Turd, the 4-cylinder automatic, and I had big dreams of doing all kinds of things to this car and never did. It had the, winky headlight, and I think I used paint stirrers to prop it up whenever I was driving at night. It worked. But that's just it. It was, an easy car. It was a fun little car. It needed tons of help, but it was, it was what it was. And I loved it to this day. It had those unique speakers in the headrest that cars today have, but back in the day, you didn't have that.
Right. And they actually took a lot of, like, the steering wheel out of it is the same as the Formula Firebird.
Yep.
And they actually used a lot of Formula Firebird parts in them.
And I will tell you that the seats from a Pontiac Fiero with the speakers in the headrest bolt right into my Chevy S10 because that's what I did. I was one of those 90s kids that cut the roof off of his S10, and then it was hard to hear the stereo. So I got Fiero seats because then I had speakers in the headrest.
I see we have some C4 Corvette fans in here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad this isn't the Corvette show.
I may have stepped on some toes here. I apologize if I offended anybody. I do not dislike the C4 Corvette, just so everybody knows. I actually went through that Corvette museum last year when we went to LS Fest.
Yeah,
If you ever get a chance to do that, check it out.
I definitely want to.
They mess with all kind of stuff. They even have a rotary powered mid-engine Corvette on the C2 platform.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's wild. And I was like, what? Why would they do that? Because I absolutely hate rotary engines with a passion.
Well, they got their place in the world as well.
Yeah, the junkyard.
Leaking all over everyone's driveways. But yeah. I will probably never own a rotary on purpose. But I'm not going to dog on them. There's guys that make power out of them and they love them. So good for them.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's people who have turbos bigger than the rotary that they're attached to, especially down in, if you ever go watch videos down in, like, I don't remember if it's Puerto Rico or there's some of those guys down there that have some like 6-second rotary cars. Now, granted, there's the size of a Ford Festiva.
Right. Can you imagine somebody doing that with the Fiero?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's not that far off to throw one in there. Let's see. What do we got? V10 C4 that had to be stretched to fit the motor. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
I actually have pictures of that in my phone at the museum. It was I believe he was an aircraft mechanic.
Uh-huh.
And they stuffed a V10 in one. It's pretty wild looking.
I mean, that's the, heart of hot rodding is, I wonder if I can fit that in there. And then when it doesn't fit, you have to build the car around it.
Right. And well, and if you really look at it, you'll see that the hood stretched like 4 inches. DRC, what's up?
Yeah. And so again, not that I am stuck on mid-engine, but if you'd had that sitting mid-engine in the car, I don't know. I just think it would have looked better than having this, 10-foot nose out front.
I think if they would have made the Fiero just a little bit longer, I think it would have balanced out the handling on it a little better.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
They did make it longer.
But not make it a 4-door.
It was a 2-door. You just have back seats.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like it's got a back. I guess it is. It kind of reminds me of that Saturn 3-door thing that they made.
Yes. There might be something into that.
Now, as long as that didn't have the Iron Duke and you get a rod in your back, if you're sitting in the back seat, you're all right.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, having that thing shoot a rod through the back seat. Oops, sorry. Let's see. NSB. It's a girl that drives RX-7 and it runs in the low 7s with about 100 cubic inches. Well, those things will rev to the moon, so absolutely. I could see it.
Like I said, it's probably got, holy crap, we have pole barn garage in the house.
It's holy goat.
A holy goat, yeah. I
Hey,
see.
Dalton, have you ever seen this one? We're talking about a Fiero 2+2.
I can't see Dalton driving a Fiero.
I mean, Derek from Vice Grip drove one. I mean, tall guys do drive them.
Right.
I mean, if you like to be strapped into your go kart, that's pretty much what it feels like.
Well, I'm 6'2", and when we had Mazda Miatas come into the shop I worked at, I couldn't drive them because I couldn't fit in it. And then one time we had a Lotus Elise come in, and I had to take the roof panel out to fit in it. So those cars are just made for short people.
DRC says my motor sits back 5 inches from factory placement. Had to notch the firewall pretty good. Yeah, don't worry about that firewall. Just cut it out and send it.
What he's got a Dodge Demon, doesn't he, or Dodge Dart?
I bet he'll tell us. I believe it's a Dodge something.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking it's a Dodge Dart or something.
Oh, he's just your kid's just schooling us here. Yeah, it's mid-ish. It's more towards the center, I suppose.
I'm actually very happy because both of my boys are into cars. My daughter more into lifted trucks.
Hey, it's still automotive.
Right. Well, she thinks her first car is going to be my Pontiac, so I don't want to break her heart.
Okay, you're getting called out.
No, Dalton, I am not driving my car to the No Name Nationals because I am going to break it at the No Name Nationals, and I don't want to walk home.
At that point, it's just logistics. You're taking the trailer because you're anticipating you're breaking it. You might as well haul it on the trailer instead of both driving, right? I'm helping you out here. It's just logistics.
Right.
I feel bad because I want to be driving mine, but I don't have it tagged and insured yet. So we're going to go with that excuse. Not that it's not running or driving properly.
DRC says he's got a Duster. I was close.
Yeah, I mean, it was of the Chrysler family.
So what if I park my trailer and truck at the hotel and drive to the track? Technically, I'm driving to the No Name Nationals.
If nobody sees you, they could assume, right?
Right.
And if law enforcement's not out in force, I may be driving it to Lambert's.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I don't know how big of a town Sykeston is, but I have a feeling this is the very first No Name Nationals. This little town's going to get flooded.
I mean, I'm sure they've had big events before, but I think this is, well, I know this is like nothing else out there. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm excited about it. People keep asking me how many people I think is going to be there, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Hundreds to thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds to thousands for sure.
All I tell them is there's people coming from all over the country.
And even outside the country.
Right. There's somebody coming from Canada, I know.
Yep.
And
I don't know if they figured out the New Zealand folks or Australian. Somebody. Yeah.
Man, Dalton's hammering me here.
Yeah, he really wants you to. Hey, and I love that. So, in my defense, my wife and I, several years ago, and this was on our other channel, the Couple Project, we bought a Pontiac Grand Prix, and it was a 90-something, and we bought it for $300 on Marketplace, and the guy wanted $600, then it was $500, and I asked him what he was going to get out of it for scrap. He said $100, and so my wife offered him $300, and I'm like, babe, you should have offered him $100. But it had a brand new battery, brand new tires. Nothing else we knew about the car. And he couldn't get it to shift out of park. So I, of course, figured that out real quick. We got it running and driving, and we drove it clear down to San Antonio, Texas, from Kansas to San Antonio, then over to Galveston, and then back to Kansas. There was a couple, I don't know, 1,300, 1,400 miles on this untested car that we paid $300 for. So I took a toolkit with me and said, we spent $300 on the car. If it breaks, we'll either leave it on the side of the road or we'll fix it and keep going. And that's so I do believe in that philosophy of break it, fix it, keep going.
I do too. But
Yep.
I can also tell you that my wife is not riding 4 hours in that car.
It's what we do. I was planning on camping out at No Name Nationals, and my wife said, "Oh, I want to go," and she's not camping out, so she got a hotel room, prepaid for it, and then her work schedule changed, so now I'm stuck going to the hotel by myself.
Hey man, you could probably make money off that hotel room.
Yeah, I could probably sell it. Somebody will want it. All right, Kim fixes things. She's taken 200,000 mile 99 van, 11 hours to No Name, and then doing the burnout brackets. Yep. I mean, if it breaks, we'll help you fix it.
Oh yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of camaraderie there, like people just jumping in to help anybody that needs help. It's
For sure. There's going to be somebody's winning that Thrash Award, and I would love for it to be me because I want that little Ford wrench, but I also don't want to have to work on my car, so maybe it won't be me.
if everything goes right, I won't have to work on my car.
Oh yeah, I think you're golden.
I know me. If I leave my laptop at home, I'll probably be all right.
You need to put some tire shine on and call it good. Just walk away.
Right. No, I can't do that. The only thing I'm not doing is, well, unless I think the 10-5 event's filled up. I was going to do that 10-5 event, but I think it's filled up.
Well, you never know. We can always ask John.
I am not doing the burnout competition.
Yeah. That's how things get broke. Well, let's see. Do you guys want to do some trivia? I think they want to do some trivia.
Oh, I want to do trivia.
Let's do the trivia. All right, guys, in the chat, you know how this works. We're going to throw up some trivia, and it's going to have a question and then some answers. And we want to see your answers in the live chat and see who knows the most about Pontiac Fiero. I think you guys have a lot of information, especially about the C4 Corvette, apparently. But we're talking about the Pontiac Fiero today. So without trying to Google it, let's see who knows the answer. Let's get started. I liked making this slide. So what was considered Fiero's biggest rival besides GM management?
Is it going to be like ABC or
There we go. I forgot to hit the button. I was so
Oh,
excited about the GM management one, I forgot. So is it A, the Chevrolet Corvette, B, the Ford Mustang, C, the Toyota MR2, or D, Dodge Daytona? Remember that little thing? Dodge Daytona?
yeah, they actually had a Shelby Daytona. One of my friends had one.
What a bad looking car. Yes, I am bringing some spares, and I will absolutely run the tire machine that NSB's bringing for anybody that needs tires swapped. I will do that. I haven't did the tire work for a few years, but I mean, it's not difficult.
I think I remember how.
Yeah, it's not hard. And he was adapting it for 20s too. Not that I'm going to see a lot of those, but all right. Hunter says the Chevrolet Corvette. Alan says the Toyota MR2. Come on, guys. Wendy says Dodge Daytona. BNR says Corvette. He thinks the Lotus, actually, but it wasn't on the list. Doug Nardin just likes the Shelby Daytona in blue and silver. And he also said Corvette.
Never fear the Dougsters here.
All right, NSB, if you get time to make it, great. If not, I know how to use a Coates machine. You guys obviously know how. We can run people through it, make sure everybody's comfortable, and all else fails, there'll be a handful of people that can actually do the work. Dakota's timeout says that's an MR2 in there. At
MR
least he
not.
can MR2. He's got the shadow figured out. And we're going to go with the Toyota MR2.
I say anybody who actually knows their cars could have guessed the outline of that.
Well, what's funny though is even though the Toyota MR2 went on to great success, you have to look back and go, how much did they really impact Pontiac? Because the Fiero actually outsold the MR2. But then the MR2 went on and basically doubled down, upped their game, filled that mid-engine market, and did it better and faster and cheaper. It's a neat little car, no doubt.
I think they actually did they have a T-top version of the Fiero? I couldn't remember if they did or not.
I know they had a sunroof. I don't know if they had a
For
T-top
some
version.
reason, I'm thinking they had a T-top version. But anyway,
You could be right.
I squirreled.
I'm sure we could make one. A Targa top would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But MR2 definitely had T-tops. Because what says, Toyota more than a T-top sports car? Foreign junk, maybe, but they were good little cars for what they were. And, they did outlive the Pontiac. I'm not saying I prefer them. I'd still take a Fiero, but they're still out and about.
Unlike Pontiac, though, they offered a 1.8 liter supercharged 4-cylinder in their Toyota or in their mid-engine vehicle.
And probably still beat the gas mileage.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Oh, look. It's Shopcat. His mom had a T-top Pulsar NX Turbo. Didn't run right most of the time, but when it did, it was pretty sprightly. Those little Pulsars were kind of neat, too. They kind of jumped on that bandwagon.
I had one of those, actually, for a very short time.
All right, here's a good one. Everybody brush up on your foreign language skills. What does Fiero mean in Italian?
This is on my cheat sheet, and I know the answer to it.
Okay, well, don't tell them yet.
Oh, I won't.
Okay, does Fiero mean A, fire, B, proud, C, fierce, or D, Ferrari? All right, Alan says A. I think he's thinking of this one.
That's a hot car right there.
Yeah, smoking deal. Let's see. Shopcat says B. Doug Narden says C. Nobody wants to call it a Ferrari. DNR says A. Dean Stevenson's got the best answer. Eggnog. It's not correct, but it's the best answer. ASO says C. Well, let's see what the answer is. It means proud. Fiero in Italian means proud. But for those that said fierce, they do know their Spanish because Fiero in Spanish means fierce or cocky, depending on how you're using it in the sentence. So I guess they were a little cocky. They just didn't quite, stand up to what it was supposed to be until 88.
Right.
What? Pontiac would never steal from Ferrari.
Yeah. GTO.
GTO. All right, let's see. Next one. What is the original name Pontiac used during the Fiero's concept phase? Was it A, the Banshee, B, Pegasus, C, the Fantastic, or D, the Aries? Let's see what the chat says. BNR still is thinking Fiero means fire. I get it. They've had their place.
Let's not act like they're the only car that caught on fire for no reason.
No, they're really not. But we're talking about them today, so they gotta, take their time in the seat. Okay, I got Banshee. I've got Hunter says Pegasus. Wendy says Pegasus. Dean says B is for bourbon. Like struggle bourbon?
Well, he's not in here.
Nope. ASO says Pegasus. Your son says Pegasus. Doug Narden says B. Alan, he says B. AB is a degree. That is true. So the answer is, it's right there on the hood ornament, Pegasus. It was originally concepted as the Pontiac Pegasus.
I'm glad they didn't go with that.
Me too. But we got the Fiero instead. Now, I did have the name Aries in there because there is a famous Pontiac Fiero Aries edition.
Oh,
Fast and Furious 7.
I've never seen it.
It went to space.
I
launched that sucker.
I quit watching Fast. Oh, so it's up there with the Tesla, huh?
Yeah, they're hanging out. No, it actually came back. But yeah, if you believe everything in the Fast and Furious movies, then you'll believe that car went to space.
That poor car is hating life.
Just like Star Wars, everything in those movies is real. Don't hate on it. It's real.
I know.
But, Fast and Furious did bring a whole different group of people into the car world. Like them or not, I'd rather have people wrenching on their cars than playing video games and, I don't know.
Oh, no, I actually liked like the first three. It's just they got kind of ridiculous after a little while. But...
It's all true. And The Rock is, the ultimate. All right, let's see. Here's a fun one. Now, for some of you that are, I don't know, maybe in your 20s and don't remember 84, let's go back and say, which music act did Pontiac Fiero promote to its dealers in 1984? They did some one-off promotions. They did some special packages, that kind of thing. But was it Wham? Make sure you get the exclamation point. Wham! Was it Duran Duran? Was it Prince? Ooh, I wonder if they had a purple one. Or was it Hall & Oates? Sorry, I didn't read off the letters. A was Wham, B is Duran Duran, C is Prince, and D is Hall & Oates.
I actually do not know this one.
Let's see.
I know
here.
Prince had a Honda CB750 on one of his album covers that was purple. Motorcycle.
Hunter says Hall & Oates. Doug Narden, Hall & Oates. Shopcat, Hall & Oates. Oh, Dean. Split ends. Alan says D, and ASO says D. And if it isn't Wham, it should have been. Okay, I can agree with that. Wham would have been great, but personally, out of that list, I'd have picked Prince. Wendy says Wham, just because it should be, right? Let's see who it is. Oh, it's Hall & Oates.
Oh,
so there was a special promo for Pontiac dealers. It promoted the Fiero. It featured the custom album cover, which was just their regular album with a new cover on it. But they also promoted their tour, North American concert tour, and you could get all kind of promotional items for your Fiero as well as Hall & Oates.
All right, Doug Narden schooled me. It was a CB550, but they look the same.
But it's Prince. He's got to be extra. He does like his little red Corvette, too. Maybe this should be the Prince and Corvette show. Shopcat, I could agree that a lot of his music was controversial. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But the man was a musician. Not always the best maker of choices, but he was a musician through and through. BNR got it with Hall & Oates. Dean says it's hauling oats. Wendy's taking a shower, so we got to answer the next ones without her. ASO's 3-0. Let's see how we do on this one. So, what Pontiac dealer only option was added to the Fiero to make it look more like a Ferrari 308? And I thought about this. This may have been one of them that you saw because they looked very much like a Ferrari 308. And this was a Pontiac dealer only option. You couldn't get them anywhere else. So was it A, the Aldino, B, the Zorba, C, the Mera, or D, just show me the car?
I do know this one.
I knew you would. Doug says it's D. ASO says it's the Zorba. Hunter says it's Aldino. Now remember, you could get your Fiero in all kinds of flavors, and you could actually go out and build whatever car you want out of your Fiero. But if you wanted to buy a Fiero from the dealer, you could option this package, and they would make your car look just like a Ferrari 308.
Wasn't this an 88?
Now you're going to test me, and I got to look. Darn it. I actually had it queued up. I don't know. It was after 86 for sure. Let's see. Shopcat says Aldino. Alan doesn't know these words. Well, let's just show the car already. It was the Mera. So corporate concept saw the real potential of the Fiero platform where you could just bolt on plastic parts, right? And so they went out and they molded in the 308 body panels onto the Fiero and included Italian wheels that matched the Ferrari. And it was so similar that Ferrari actually sued them and said, you have to stop doing this, because not only is it a kitted car, but it's a kitted car that you could buy from the dealer. And so Ferrari said no more. And so only 247 of those cars were ever made and sold. So if you ever see one, ask if it's a Mera, because if it is, it's one of 247 cars.
1988 was the only year.
There you go. See? And that gave it the good suspension and all that too.
That's actually what I seen at the car show then, because it looked, I have it on video. Actually, it's on one of my shorts actually.
That's awesome.
If everybody wants to go to my page and
I remember seeing that one now that you mentioned it. I remember seeing it. If you want to see this car, check out Punisher's shorts. Oh, wait, that didn't sound right. The Zimmer Quicksilver. Let me look that up real quick. Not to take away from what we're doing. I assume this is a kit car.
I've seen a lot of the Lamborghini. Was it Countach kits on them, but they're shorter and they look kind of funny.
All right, let's go back and hit this button.
So one of Cletus McFarland's guys had one.
There's a Zimmer Quicksilver.
Ew.
It's a mid-engine.
So one of McFarland's guys had a Fiero that had a big block in it.
Yeah. Is that the one they rolled?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. We got that one. Let's see what we got. Oh, I think this is the last one. So Pontiac Fiero made a convertible model. Pontiac Fiero made a convertible model. True or false? And if you know the trivia game that we have here at Pontiac Power Hour, you'll know the answer to this. Oh, so the Zimmer was made from a Fiero. That makes sense. It's a mid-engine car. Easy to just swap parts right on it. Okay, Doug says false. Dalton wants a Fiero GT, so he's going to get in that car. He needs one. We're going to help him find one and put him in a Fiero GT. Your son says true, probably. I think he's watched the show. ASO says false. And Hunter, the knower of all Pontiac, says false. Shopcat says he heard ASC did. I think that's all the answers we're going to get. So it's true, only in concept form. So GM decided to throw the car at ASC and Metal Crafters. That's the same company that built the Corvette, Camaro, and Firebird convertibles of the day. So if you got a factory Firebird convertible, it would have been from this company, ASC. And they said, we want a convertible. The question was, how were they going to store the top? Because this fabric top would fold right into the engine compartment. So they had to build a special compartment and a special top that folded in. So they made one, and that's it. So if you see one running around and it's not that exact car that you see on your screen, it's been done after the fact. This car was the only one GM commissioned to have done.
Thank God, because that's ugly.
You know, if you're going down the, I'm going to turn my car into a Ferrari, you know, you can kind of hold the hand over one eye and it kind of has that look. But some of them Testarossa, you know, big old deep fins on the side.
I just don't like convertibles, so it doesn't matter what it is. Well, unless it's a GTO, then I take it.
So people are starting to learn the show. Concept form, maybe. Yes. True by ASC. That is true. So the only reason why I say true is because GM actually did go and have it made, but they never made any. They looked at the proof of concept. It was way too difficult to engineer to actually make that top work and fold down into the car. It does work, and it does still exist, and it's owned by a private person now. But they just decided, nope, we're not going to sell any more of these, and then that was the end of it. So it's false if you consider that they never produced it, but it is true that they had one made. I like to trip people up on that just because I do know GM made it happen.
Just so everybody knows, don't go off of that next week. If we have a show next week.
Why wouldn't we?
Well, you'll be on the road, won't you?
Oh, that's right. We're going to No Name Nationals. So here's the plan. If you guys want us to put a show together for No Name Nationals, I need the Pontiac guys to hit me up, because what I want to do is, my plan is to be at the, what do you call that? Flash Mob car show at Lambert's. And I want to hit up every Pontiac that's there. And if I can talk him into it, I'm going to have Ray on the other end of this, kind of controlling the main house here, keeping the StreamYard going. And then you guys can join in like we always do. We might even throw in a little trivia.
Man, I can barely check my email.
Oh, no, you got this. You got this. It's going to be a little less formal than we do right now, but it's still going to be workable. I think we can make it happen. Now, if I'm in the middle of dinner catching throwed rolls at Lambert's, then, you know, I might have to take a break and go out and look at all the cars from my phone. But I think we can make it work. Oh, look at all these guys. They want blue wrenches. But that's on your side. That's not on my side.
I don't know how to do that.
Look at that. Rob's Rods and Street Cars. Well,
Well, hello,
welcome.
sir. Or ma'am. I'm assuming, sir. But I should never assume.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for today. You got anything else?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the No Name Nationals. My son's going to be there too, so he'll get to meet all you guys too. So,
Is he bringing his car?
no, they're going to drive a little purple Civic.
Oh, okay.
My other
So
son's
still
car.
there with a car. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they'll let me enter it into the burnout contest. It's not my car, but I'd be driving it.
I don't see why not.
Hmm.
I mean, Irish Outlaws bringing several. So anyway, we've gone over our 1 hour, man.
All right. Thanks
So
everybody for watching.
We'll get out of here. But you guys, if you're going to No Name Nationals, if you have a Pontiac, hit us up. If you're going to be at Lambert's, let me know, and I will come find your car and we'll showcase it on the show next week. So thank you all for watching.